I hear some really interesting stories about all the great work that is happening in the Greater Toronto Area and by extension across Canada to bring such an important community, Chinese Canadian community, which has all of its components, North, South, Taiwanese, mainland Chinese, Hong Kong, that we even had some representatives of Vietnamese, Laotian communities here today, to build the future of our economy. And that's what it's really about. That's our common mission. Yes, to support strong immigration. And we talked about the number of Chinese coming to Canada as permanent residents every year. It is, I have the number in my pocket here, but I think close to 33,000. Let me just make sure I have it right, yes. And it's almost 250,000 visitors every year. That's almost a quarter of the people that we give visitor visas to in the world. So making sure that all of these visits and all of these new permanent residents are successful in Canada is a big job. And it involves networks of students, networks of business people, networks of chambers of commerce, networks of professionals, all of whom are represented today, all of whom are working extremely hard. And I'm impressed by the level of convergence in what they are saying. They have guided a lot of the reforms that we have done in the last several years that were led by my predecessor, Jason Kenney, but they're also going to guide us in the next phase. We talked a lot about how to attract more entrepreneurs, how to create more pathways for students to become permanent residents and later citizens. We talked about the responsibilities of citizenship and how seriously members of this community take those responsibilities, and what more we can do to make sure that people understand the value of citizenship, the weight that is on their shoulders, and that it doesn't end when you receive your passport, it actually just begins. And that we all have contributions to make over the long term to making this a great country. So it's quite an inspiring discussion. Yes, there are issues we have to address. Yes, we have had a strike that disrupted our work abroad to some extent, but we're managing to get students to Canada to start university and college in September, almost without exception on time, as long as they applied on time. And we're also managing to bring record numbers of parents and grandparents to Canada this year, as you know, to reduce the backlog that we had in that area. And that is exciting news. It doesn't affect every family, it's not on the front pages every day, but to have close to 25,000 parent and grandparent applications processed this year is a record for Canada, and I think it deserves to be acknowledged as such. We also talked about the announcement we made today as a department that our federal skilled trades program has actually brought its first permanent residents to Canada. And in this case, it was a young man called Eric Byrne, who is a plumber and who comes from Ireland and who is bringing those very practical skills that we know the construction sector, some manufacturing, parts of the manufacturing sector, and many industries in Canada need urgently to move forward in their projects. They can't find enough people with these skills in Canada where they need them. So that's exciting. That's a program we announced only in January. Jason Kenney said we would do it in January. Now it's August. People are arriving under that program. That's a record turnaround. It shows that we're making our immigration system faster and more flexible. And when it comes to the Chinese Canadian community, the story is one of growth. Large numbers of permanent residents, large numbers of visitors, large numbers of students contributing more and more to Canada. And I think around the table today you saw the strength of that contribution.
Okay, as you mentioned that Jason Kenney bring a massive change to the system. What do you think? Do you see those kind of big changes?
We found in the course of Jason Kenney's time as minister that immigration succeeds, our programs are effective because we change them, because we update them, and adjust them to reflect our economic realities inside Canada, changing realities around the world. So we're not going to stop. The good programs we want to keep. In some cases we want to expand them. But where we have backlogs, where we don't have fast enough service, we will continue reforming to make sure the system is responsive. And here the main message is that our economy is paramount. We need most of our immigrants to come to contribute their skills, their knowledge, their talent to our growing economy. But matching those skills to individual jobs in Canada is not a job for government. It's mostly a job for the private sector. We want to link those private sector needs to immigrant skills much more closely, and that's what the next phase of reform will be about.
So okay.
So Minister, for your information, there will be a large community event for Macau citizens tomorrow because of the strike of the visa office. So the whole delegation and all the important people they can come to tomorrow's night.
Right.
So we, as a Chinese, that we see that Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, and China as a Chinese origin. So will ministry be granting the visa free for Macau citizens in future, or what do they have to do to get that card? I know Taiwan they don't need a visa right now, so right.
Yeah. Well, I'm very sorry to hear if someone has missed an event because our processing times are slightly longer because of this work, these disruptions. We do have very dedicated staff still on the job, and all of our offices are still open, trying to meet the most urgent needs of students, of business people, of tourists, and so forth. Yes, we want to work towards an easier system, and even a visa-free system wherever we can. We don't have immediate plans to drop the visa requirement anywhere in the world, but we review this, and we work with our international partners to try to tell them what we would need in terms of controls on their side to make sure that that no one is able to take advantage of a visa-free regime. You saw even last year that we had large numbers of asylum seekers coming from Europe to Canada. This was a paradox. It was not acceptable. We've changed the system, and now the numbers are way down. Similarly, with Mexico, we had to reestablish a visa because people, often from outside of Mexico, were taking advantage, and now the numbers are way down. We don't want to create a situation where those bogus asylum claims are climbing up very high again, but we do want to make it easier for people across Asia to travel to Canada. And there are lots of ways of doing that, even without just dropping the visa. So look for us to try to be innovative, to try to reduce processing times, and to try to make sure that we're responding to the economic needs of business people, students, travelers, and permanent residents.
So another thing is that there's reports that there's a kind of senior manager bring with her $500 million will come to Canada. So what's the government will do?
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, we do want people from around the world to see Canada as a destination for investment. As you know, we had a program for investors. Unfortunately, it was not working as it had been intended. The people who entered the program were not respecting the terms and conditions of the program, and so we're taking another.
I said that there's a report today in our paper's headline.
Yeah.
She bring the money free to Canada.
Listen,
It's a crime. Yeah.
Probably corrupted.
Oh, she was a corrupt official.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not aware of that case.
Generally speaking, what kind of procedure will be?
Well, we've suspended the investor program. It wasn't working as intended. We do want entrepreneurs to come. We do want people to invest legitimate funds in Canada, but we have to know where the money comes from. We have to be satisfied that people are doing this for the right reasons, and so we will design future programs that come with those with the right controls, but also the right incentives. In the meantime, lots of people who are wealthy are still coming to Canada as federal skilled workers, as part of provincial nominee programs, as part of family reunification. And I think you see that in Toronto, in Vancouver, and elsewhere. We have, part of our immigration is driven by the fact that we are seen as a safe haven in a relatively stormy economic climate in the world. And investors are part of the demand that we see, the interest we see in coming to Canada. So that's exciting. But where there are cases of corrupt officials or organized crime trying to take advantage of our very generous immigration system, we will be very firm in finding them out and preventing those individuals or groups from coming here. There are very clear rules about inadmissibility to Canada, and corruption. The crime of corruption would make anyone inadmissible to Canada.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Hi, Minister Lander. You have heard about birth tourists, those who just come here want to give birth to a child and so that they can have Canadian citizenship. Do you see that as a problem, and do you plan to do anything?
Yeah, no, it is a problem. It's another example of where our laws and regulations don't have their intended effect. We're concerned by it to the extent that it is a significant number of people involved. It's unacceptable. It puts a burden on our healthcare system. It puts a burden on the people themselves, traveling in the third term of a pregnancy, without support here, without family in many cases, and then leaving soon after. It's not the way the system should work, and we will take steps to make sure that that trend does not grow, and indeed those cases are eliminated from our flows of people into Canada. We want tourists, but not for this purpose. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll come outside.